Hi, Adrian. A pleasure to meet you. Yeah, there was quite an experience there at Eslight Bookstore the other day. I was unexpected turnout. It's the birth of my second child, really. And what I mean with that is that with the first child, my first book, everything is completely new and very anxious. And now I had a bit more excitement about it because, yeah, I've been there, done that feeling. On the other hand, you have the same anxiety again, like, oh, what if nobody shows up for the second book and all these kind of self-doubts, things like that. So it was a bit of a mixture of feelings that I had before.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was a great experience. Yeah. Yeah, I think that business as usual will never come back. If you look at the COVID period, I think that was a big wake-up call for a lot of businesses that everything that you planned for in 2019, you can basically throw it in the rubbish bin in 2020. And how long is this MCO going to last? And if you look at leadership, often people look at us as leaders as if we know everything, we need to make the decisions, we need to give the directions and the guidance, but what if you don't have the answer? What are you going to do then? So how do you instill confidence in your team if you're not even sure yourself what's going to happen next? Now after COVID we thought, finally that's over. But things keep on coming in. We have climate change, geopolitical challenges, supply chain inflation, digital transformation. Gen Z is coming into the workforce. That's also a challenge for some leaders, how to manage all these different generations in one team. So it just never stops. Now, how do we deal with that? That I try to capture in my book in dealing with change and uncertainty as a leader. And that is relevant, I think, for every size of business, every type of business in the current time that we have. Because I also quote in the book is that uncertainty is not a season that will pass. Yeah, that's a great question. Also with the tariff, tomorrow can be another decision already. Is it 25% or 30% or 10% or no tariffs at all? Or maybe 100% tariffs? We don't know. And we can't read this president's mind either. We try to preempt what he might do, but I think it's fairly impossible with anyone actually. So if you only know what you think for yourself, that's already a thing, but you can't think or predict what other people might do or say or going to do next, especially for those who are in charge of a country or a business. So how do we then deal with these unpredictable factors that we have around us and even within the organization? I mean, your best employee can leave, your top customer can walk away anytime. And one thing that you also said is this transparency, but I think it is also the blindness that we see in especially successful companies. You become blind because of your success, past success. What works back then, you hope that it will still work in the future. We hold on to successful products and services for too long. Kodak and Nokia, there's famous examples, right? That they did not see the change coming. So can you challenge yourself that whatever you take for granted can be taken away at some point? That is one. Secondly is how do we navigate then the uncertainty? I would always use this metaphor as a ship. So you are the captain on the ship and your interest is the same interest as the rest of the crew is we want to come home in the harbor safely. Now the only uncertain factor is we don't know what weather conditions we will encounter in the wild open ocean. Sometimes we have a big storm, other times we have calm waters and we can relax a little bit. No one can predict the weather condition for the entire journey when you cross the big ocean, right? Now one thing is certain and that the captain and the crew should realize is that we are on this ship together. So you need to have the trust in your own ability as a leader, but also in your crew, that no matter what type of weather we will have, what level of uncertainty we will encounter, we want to make sure that we will arrive safely. I think that is the mindset that we need to have, and that starts with yourself, because if you don't have that yourself, then also the rest of your team will not have that confidence. Yeah, I call that more a management style. So management is looking for certainty, is control. Control is certainty, because we have something predictable. And we can do the monthly report, and every month we want to achieve the KPIs. And preferably the KPIs increase every year, right? Sales targets go up, etc., etc. So we want to have more of it. We extrapolate from the past into the future. I think that is an outdated management thinking. What if we can dynamically update the sales targets based on the demand and the market situation? It's getting more and more impossible for HR to define a target for 1 year ahead. In 1 year, a lot of things can happen. So that idea of control only works in a very short time, and the time is getting shorter now. That we have this predictability, the forecast that we have. We think we can plan a budget based on the sales forecast. All of these things are slippery slopes at the moment. Well, the biggest challenge is, of course, that you need to be comfortable with the uncertainty, or rather I say anxiety yourself, first and foremost. Because if you act from a situation of fear, the tendency is you go into a panic mode. And you jump on new things quickly, or you make certain rushed decisions because things are changing. So how can you instill that stability in yourself, the inner calmness, to make better decisions? I think that's an important one. And I'm also a work in progress from that perspective. I also spoke about this in my first book, The Naked Leader, is that checking with yourself how you can create that inner peace for yourself, to make sure that the people around you also see that confidence in you, and that you're ready to lead from that position and not from a position of fear. That is a cultivation of self-care, and different people have different styles to cultivate that, of course. But that is an inner journey that you spend time on reflection, meditation, physical exercise. There are a number of ways to do that. And I have to say, sometimes I also slack on these things, but overall I make it a priority, because I know if I don't do that, I will be dragged into the daily chaos myself. And then you're like a small boat on the ocean, just drifting aimlessly somewhere without any direction, and the panic will be even more. So I think that is the number one thing, is to anchor yourself as much as you can. And what I call in my book is find an island of stability. It can be a very small island if everything is uncertain around you, but that island of stability, that is your grounding place. That is the thing that is not changing. So a lot of people look at what is changing. I think let's also look at what is not changing. What gives you the stability? That could also be your family or other factors. Never saying that family members or spouse will not leave you or things like that. But you have some stability around you in your life that gives you that island. Managing tasks versus managing people. That's a great one. So for me, management is managing tasks. Leadership is leading people. That is for me the difference between these two. And managing tasks is mostly on this KPI fixed number, and it is more what you do. Leadership for me means more you look at, you create the environment and promote the behaviors that will lead to a successful outcome. And that is, I think, a much more motivating way to work with people, rather than, okay, you missed the target, you're out. Well, any generation can be a challenge if you're not willing to A, look at yourself, and B is how big is your adaptability, level of adaptability in terms of your leadership style. So what I usually do with your leadership coaching is try to expand your toolkit of styles. And it's called situational leadership, is that you have a dominant style and a dominant personality, but that is not always effective in every situation. And for me, living in Asia for quite a number of years, I also learned that if I only apply Western ways of leading, that will also not work here in Malaysia, for instance. Or look at your children. In different age groups, you also need to lead your children and raise your children in different styles. And every child is also different. So that ability to apply the appropriate leadership style that is most effective for this, in this case, particular generation, that will make all the difference. You deal totally different way with the older generation than you deal with the younger generation coming in for different reasons. And another thing is, of course, we cannot generalize that all Gen Z are like this or all millennials are like that. So also that is, I think, it's situational but also personalized. What do they need to do their work well? That is your job to facilitate. In the next 5 to 10 years, I believe that the people factor becomes the crucial differentiator between a good and a bad leader, if you want to use these terms. Because the task-oriented, they will be stuck in the old way of managing, which I think AI will also have a huge impact. And what will make the difference is how do we integrate robots in the workforce? And what's left on the people side is, of course, the human-centric leadership. And I don't believe in a 100% robotic organization. We always have humans in the end of the day. And how do we deal with that? That's much more about purpose, meaning, being inspired and motivated by different factors. So routine work, that will all be in AI and automation. So that part of managing will fall away. And I think that shift is urgent for a lot of leaders to embrace. Why do people want to work with you in the first place? That's a great question. Do we have to fear our job in even top-level management? Now, what you see is going on at the moment with the big consultancy firms is that they are laying off quite a number of people at the moment. And if you ask the right questions to the AI tools, you can somewhat say, hey, they are good board advisors, consultants to some extent. What I believe, though, is that visionary leadership is about seeing things that are not there yet. AI can only do things based on what you feed it. So what's not in the data cannot be there. So visionary leaders look beyond what machines can do. That part of the C-suite will never be replaced. Well, pretty much all the service companies that rely heavily on data, so finance and banking is of course an obvious one. Governments, a lot of policies and procedures with the government, interactions between citizen and the government can be automated with AI to a large extent. So everywhere data is involved has a potential to be replaced. Admin work, finance and accounting, that kind of roles. Of course, where there is physical labor involved, a barber, for instance, well, there might be smart robots who can do your haircut. I think for mine it's going to be quite easy anyway, right? But a lot of physical labor, which is currently usually in the lower pay bracket, I think, unless robots can really do a good job, that is really hard to replace by AI for the foreseeable future. And strategic thinking, visionary, that's on the other end of the spectrum, that's also not being replaced by robots. And everything that is related to human aspects also will not be replaced by robots. So yeah, it depends on the industry where you're in, to what extent it will impact us. And I also have to say that I looked at it also from a different angle, is that the more digital we will get, the more people will long for human connection. So if you look at from a marketing and customer service perspective, the more human you are as a brand, the more authentic you are as a brand, you will stand out. So yes, to get things done with a chatbot is great, but end of the day, if there's something bigger going on between you and a certain company, you want to talk to a human. Sales, we can automate procurement transactions so that a robot will buy from a supplier and close the deal automatically. End of the day, companies are humans, and human will still talk to a human. So yes, supportive, that will be done by robots. End of the day, there's a human involved at some point. The advice that I give to my younger self, that's an interesting one, because the world has moved on tremendously since I started, I think, 25 years ago, time flies. That time I thought I knew the world already. I was quite naive in that sense. And when I started working, well, one thing I didn't know is how to survive in a corporate world. That is something that you never learn in the university. So that is something, with my experience, I can relate back. How can you be effective in a larger organization, bring people together when you have all these silos and working with the scale of a corporate environment? That is something you'll never learn in any university, in my experience. But the other one is that, when you're young and ambitious and you think like, what does the older generation know? I can do this better. That is a sort of naivety that comes with experience. If I bring that back to my younger self, that could be helpful. Avoid some mistakes. I've pissed off some people along the road as well. So that is, I think, more on the behavioral side rather than on the knowledge side. Yeah, sure. I put a bit of pressure on myself last year because I publicly declared that I would release the second book this year, which I narrowly met the deadline, narrowly. So again, here another accountability that I take on is to publish my third book next year around this time, so stay tuned. What is going to be about? Well, it is a trilogy for a reason. Originally, I thought I would make one big book about transformational leadership, but I thought it makes more sense to cut it in 3 pieces. First, leadership starts with yourself. Self-awareness, self-leadership. That's the naked leader. Second part is, when you're self-aware, you can also lead others. So this book, Business as Usual, Unusual, is about business transformation, transformational leadership in the broadest sense. The third book is about sustainable transformation. What is the impact on the world and the planet and society? Because I believe that business is never a standalone money-making unit. You always impact the rest of the world around you. Whether that's positive or negative, that's another thing. But you cannot run your business in isolation. You're part of a larger ecosystem. Customers, suppliers, but also society and the planet. Right? So a better world starts with yourself. That's how the trilogy is connected. But the third book will be related to that. But also, I'm very convinced that sustainability is a profitable exercise. And when I talk to business owners, most of them think like, it's a nice to have, or it's an administrative burden. Do we really need to do ESG and stuff like that? I like to prove in the next book that it is a good business opportunity to embrace on. You can make money with sustainability in a very good way. So that is going to be the third book. Around this time next year, we can talk about that one again. The title is Not My Problem, ? So is sustainability something that you see as your problem? So are you part of the problem or are you part of that solution? What is purpose-driven organization? What is the value of being a purpose-driven organization? Why people want to work for you? That kind of questions. Like my first 2 books, I don't give too many answers or explicit advice. You have to do this or you have to do that. What I like to do in my books is to ask questions that people can answer for themselves and find the right answer for their situation, for their business, for their unique situation that they are in. I think that is more helpful than just me telling what to do, because my advice might not be relevant for you or for anyone else. So it is in the questions where I think I help the reader the most. I was pleasantly surprised that in various places they like to hear more about the book. So coming up soon is Taipei. I'm going to Taiwan for book sharing. In Book Access, Kota Damansara is coming up. We're also talking with Bursa Malaysia for sharing there. Then after, I will be in Singapore in November, going to Belgium and the Netherlands in December and January. And there's more to follow in 2026, but I cannot announce it yet. But this is universal approaches in the book that regardless of which country we're in, I think we are all on this planet and we are all facing some similar challenges, although the answers might be different in different countries and different companies. But I think it's very relevant for this time and day. Yeah.